Happy Saturday, love bugs. It's me, Keisha, and I'm here with this week's All Tea, All Shade Love and Marriage Huntsville Season 4, Episode 14 review. Want to remind you guys that if you have not checked out Sharita and I's teaser episode of our upcoming podcast, it started with Wanda. The video is up now. Thank you guys so much to everyone who's already listened. We're over 12,000 viewers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We cannot wait to drop the official podcast. But for those listeners who have not been able to catch up with it, go after this and listen to the teaser episode of It Started with Wanda. Also, thank you to everyone who checked out my Keisha Capsule Collection lookbook video. It has gotten tremendous feedbacks. We have sold out of the Melody's Revenge maxi dress. We only have a few pieces of the other 4 looks left. So make sure you all head over to prettygirlparlor.com to cop you the waist deep dress or the Riri denim dress. We have the Cruel Summer set left as well. And we have only a few more of the Color Me Pynk hot pink dress. So like I said, head over there right now. When I say we only have a few left, I literally mean we only have a few pieces left of each of these items. Make sure when you do head over to www.prettygirlparlor.com that you use my 20% off discount code. You can use the discount code ColorMePynk20 or Pink20 as you check out. Once again, those discount codes are ColorMePynk20 or Pink20. Thank you guys for all of your support. Now let's get into this behind the scenes tea, y'all, that I got on Melanica. Shout out to the Tea Squad member that sent me this bit of tea. This story about Melanica was released on September 4th, 2012, and it was titled Federal Prosecutors Charge Atlanta Woman with Mortgage Fraud. It says Birmingham federal prosecutors on Friday charged an Atlanta woman with mortgage fraud for providing false financial information for several home buyers that resulted in fraudulently obtained mortgages totaling more than $623,000. U.S. Attorney Joyce White Vance, FBI Acting Special Agent in Charge Robert E. Haley III, and Housing and Urban Development Inspector General David Montoya announced. The U.S. Attorney's Office filed an information in U.S. District Court charging Melanica Parker, 27, with 3 counts of aiding and abetting others in the making of false statements on mortgage loan applications. Parker assisted in the commission of a larger mortgage fraud ring among several buyers, including Gloria Allen and Crystal Douglas, both of Huntsville, who were charged by information in July. Beginning in 2008, Parker owned and operated Elite Business Services in Huntsville with the stated purpose of helping its clients improve their credit scores, according to the information. The charges filed against Parker outline the fraud as follows. After forming Elite Business Services, Parker began assisting her clients in obtaining mortgages to buy real estate in the Huntsville area. Because many of her clients were not financially eligible to obtain loans, Parker would submit false payroll and income information to the financial institution. The false payroll information inflated the monthly income that each borrower claimed to earn, making them eligible for a mortgage that they would otherwise not be able to obtain. Parker also sent the false income information to another tax preparation business, which resulted in the creation of false tax documents. Wow. Okay. So everybody in Huntsville just crooks, except for Miss Vanessa, Lord Jesus, and Melody so far, and Kimmy and Letitia. But everybody, no, Letitia had her, it was so many conflicting things with Letitia that she really didn't get in trouble or whatever. But everybody else is some crooks in Huntsville, child. I ain't never going down there. If I ever do, I am clutching my pearls and my purse. God damn it. I'm keeping my debit cards in my bra. or in my panties. I don't trust these Huntsville niggas. They are some crooks and thieves, goddammit. Them some goons down there. I guess they ain't got nothing else to do. It's bored as hell down there. I guess everybody got to thieve and scheme to have some type of fun. Child, that is a mess. That's why she had that Gucci belt on upside down, because she probably stole it. allegedly, child. Ooh, Lord, let me know what y'all think about that bit of behind the scenes juicy tea. Now let's get into tonight's review. Okay, you guys, so the episode starts off with Martell and the guys still in Atlanta, and that night they are celebrating the iNest, I guess, tasting release party. Don't get me lying about what the hell this party is about. All I know is that Martell came dressed like he was Mustafa. Like he was the fucking Lion King. Like he was the Prince of Zamunda, goddammit. He looked like he was wearing something that Michael Blackson would wear. I was just not feeling that damn suit with no shirt on underneath. His pants weren't fitted correctly. I don't know who throw rug he took and draped over his shoulder. I just was not here for it. He was trying to make a fashion statement, and it was a fashion no. He would have gotten a roadkill from me and Sharita on Fashion Killer, child. It was just a mess. The place was filled with women. There were some guys there. Martell's Uncle Sam came out to support him. Rest in peace to my Uncle Sam, who died a few years ago. Keisha Anderson from YouTube was there at the gathering or whatever. She's in this picture right here that I have on the screen with the purple hair. So Martell walks up to the steps to give his speech, and them sleeves on that blazer was damn near reaching his elbow. That you can't tell me that one tank blazer. The pants was ill-fitting. He looked like he got them pants from New York and Company. Like is that a lady's blazer? Because that blazer do not fit like a man's blazer. That was a woman's blazer. Don't let me find out that he done stole one of Melody's Express suits. He looked like he got that suit from Express. He looked a mess. But anywho, he starts his little speech, child, and he calls up, the fellas, his boys or whatever. Chris is there, that other dude in this picture, I forgot who he is, but he was there. And so his Uncle Sam in the audience looking like, the fuck? Like, he ain't gonna call me up there? Like, the fucking wine is named after my goddamn mama, and he ain't gonna call me up there? So he already in the crowd looking some type of way. But I will say this in Martell's defense. Martell was nervous. He couldn't even speak. We all know that the man ain't that damn smart. You can tell he was in the slow class. Martell looked like he rode the little short bus to school with a helmet on his head. And he's not used to being the one in the spotlight. They showed that with the flashbacks of when him and Mel were in a relationship, how Mel was the star of the relationship and he played the background. She was the one that always did the speeches and was always put out front. So this was his first time being out front and having to speak for himself, and he couldn't really get the words together. He was just cussing and trying to make a joke out of it, and you could just tell that he was trying to get it over with as fast as he could. But I wouldn't have gotten that mad at him. I would have felt some type of way, you know what I'm saying, considering the fact that you didn't call me up there and you called niggas up there that you don't really even like or fuck with. But I would have blamed it on his head and not his heart at that. You know what I'm saying? So Uncle Sam, I guess, tells his wife, he was like, that motherfucker ain't shit. He acknowledging all these niggas. That's my mother's name you're using. So he is hot. He is pissed off. And so Martell is none the wiser that his uncle is mad. Uncle could get it too. Uncle was buffing. I was like, hello, Uncle Sam. Shit. So Martell is outside and his uncle comes outside to confront him. And Martell was like, what's wrong? And his uncle was like, that's my mother. You ain't even acknowledge her. And so the uncle was feeling some type of way because Martell didn't call him up there and, recognize him. And also in his speech, he did more cussing and talking about ownership, black ownership, than dedicating the wine to his grandmother and his uncle's mom, which, like I said, is understandable, but you could tell he was nervous. So I wouldn't have gotten that upset with him, but I would have said something to him later on not to ruin his night. So Martell was like, he leaned over and whispered in his uncle's ear, "We on national television. Don't ever do that on national TV. Don't do that." I was like, you don't want him confronting you on national television, but you done did everything else under the sun on national television. Okay. So the uncle was like, all right, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to let you have this. I'm going to let you have your night, and I'm going to get the fuck up out of here. And so Martell was like, but Unc, come here. He was like, nah, you good, we good. I'm about to go. So Martell following his uncle around the house or whatever, trying to talk to his uncle and get him to understand. And then we see Chris pull the guys to the side and tell them that, Sam was mad about the speech. So then we see Sam and Martell outside as the uncle is getting ready to leave. He's getting in his car, and Martell telling the cameraman to stay back because he don't want them involved in his family business. And we, they're still mic'd up. So we hear Uncle saying, I don't want her to be disrespected. You got her name all on that motherfucker, and that's the best you can do. And, he was hurt. He was feeling some type of way about it. So I was like, oh, Lord, that whole family just is nuts, honey. Nuts. So after that, the guys head home the next day, and I guess the trip was a success, child. Hope they paid the Airbnb fee. Now that we know Melanica is a crook. So Lou is back home. He had to leave out early because he had a death in the family. So he's at home, and he's talking to Tiffany about, the trip or whatever. And all I could focus on is their house. I need for them to take these checks that they have gotten from this show and get their house fixed. Please get y'all an interior decorator, because that house ain't got no rhyme or reason. It's just look like it's filled with clutter, and it's just shit thrown everywhere. It ain't cute. It's just brown and tan, and it's just ugly. I would be embarrassed to have somebody over my house looking like that. What was up with the box of toys over there in the corner? I'm like, y'all got big ass kids. What is going on here? Like, please get y'all house decorated, or please just no longer shoot in your house, because your house is ugly. I'm sorry. It really honestly is, and it's really perturbing me. So, Lou is talking about the trip, and he being real coy and like trying to plant seeds of doubt in her head, like he might have been doing some shit he ain't had no business doing, and he's smirking, and I'm looking like, hey. Like, do you remember who you are, sir? Like, boy, sit down. So, he's telling her about the wine tasting. She was like, okay, well, what kind of wine tasting was it? Who was there? And he was like, it was women there. And she was like, women? And he was like, yeah. He was like, it was some guys there, but, mostly women. And she was like, oh, so y'all was about around a bunch of women. So she side-eyeing him because, he's smirking and grinning and shit. And I'm like, boy, I guess I would have laughed in his face trying to make somebody jealous. Like, you have on a pullover sweatshirt, sir. Like, you're not going to make nobody jealous with a pullover sweater on. Like, sir, bye. So then he tells her that they went to, the little rage place or whatever, and he raged about, the lack of sex that they're having. And when Tiffany was on Carlos King nightcap show last week, she basically was like, it's more of a him problem than a we problem, because we have sex at least about 3 times a week, and that it's like he has a sexual addiction. And I'm like, yeah, he has to have one, because like 3 times a week, that's enough, nigga. Don't nobody want to see all that flab 7 days a week. Goddamn it, she need days off to act like and pretend like you ain't got that stomach. Boy, sit down. So Tiffany is, outdone with the fact that he really feels like they are having, issues in the bedroom. Cause she looking at him like, you're fucking crazy and you're fucking delusional. And she was like, but if this is something that really is bothering you, this is a conversation that me and you need to have, because as your wife, I do have my wifely duties. And if this is something that is that important to you, then I need to, figure out a way to, do that, give you that or whatever. So then this nigga gonna say, is it a duty or a privilege? And these producers had the goddamn gall and nerve to cut it and leave it at that. Oh, hell to the no. Hell to the no, no, to the no, no, no. Is it a privilege to fuck your big ass? You Charlie and the Chocolate Factory looking mother. Luda lost his motherfucking mind. Some hoe down there in Atlanta then whispered in this nigga ear and then souped him up to think like he can move on with somebody else. And you know, it's a bitch out there that like a fat nigga, but she ain't me. Looking like Big Lou. Hey. I think you need to go look in the mirror and sit down and think about it, sir. Cause you got like fucked up. So then we switched to Maurice and Marceau at their, homes, telling their wives about the trip or whatever. Marceau is straight up with Letitia about everything that happened, and Marceau is, telling Kimmy what happened, and they get to talking about and his issues with him and what's the damn girl name? I done forgot her. Tiffany's sex problems or whatever. And Letitia was like, I have a hard time believing it. I think that girl is over there, handling her business. And Marcel gonna talk about some, well, if it's a situation where I care about sex and you don't, then you shouldn't care if I outsource it. And she gives him a look like, really, nigga? Like, this what we doing? See, situations like this, like I said, is what makes me not like Marceau, because of the shit that he says, the seeds of doubt that he likes to plant in her head. And like I said, take the cheating allegations out the door with him. It's the way that he treats her and speaks to her that is the biggest problem for me, and the mind games and the disregard that he has for her feelings and their marriage and their family is what really is the biggest issues for me when it comes to Marceau. So then we see Tisha go to visit Dr. Francis alone, and I want Tisha to go to Dr. Francis every day of the week. She don't need not one day off. She need to talk to that man on Skype, on the phone, from a helicopter to an airplane to a kite, shit, to a goddamn pigeon. Like, she need to talk to that motherfucker every goddamn day, because Letitia is hooked on phonics. So she brings up the fact that Marceau went on the trip to Africa alone. And Dr. Francis was like, how come he ain't take you? And she was like, cause I had to take care of things at home. I had to find a babysitter and a dog sitter. And she got all these excuses. And he looking at her like, are you listening to yourself? Like, are you actually hearing the bullshit that is coming out of your mouth? So Dr. Francis was like, and you were okay with it? And she was like, no, I wasn't. I was feeling some type of way. I was upset. And she said that he went on to explain why he needed to go by himself because of, the depression, and he just needed an escape. Girl, that motherfucker wasn't no bit more depressed. He had already said on last season's episode that he was never fucking depressed. I'm like, oh God, this lady. So Tisha was like, and then he's such a last minute person, and I know this. And Dr. Francis was like, last minute behavior isn't the same as last minute thinking. And I was like, ooh, you better speak a motherfucking word. You better put that on a t-shirt and sell it, Dr. Francis. His child, ooh, yes, ma'am. I'm like, you can't plan no trip to Africa last minute. You know how high them goddamn plane tickets are. You gotta find the right place to stay. Like, you gotta do research. You know what I'm saying? Like, safe places to go, places to see, what's fun to do. And he went by himself. So he went on a trip to Africa for the first time by himself. Nobody else was with him. Okay, darling. Okay. All right. I don't bit more believe that shit. Somebody was with that nigga, whether it was a female or a man. Somebody was with that man. So she's sitting there looking like, oh, I never thought of it like that. And I'm like, Jesus. So Dr. Francis was looking at Tisha like, girl, wake the fuck up. Like, he couldn't even hide it and be professional. He was literally looking at her like, this girl is truly dumb. So Dr. Francis was like, there is somewhat of a dependency issue going on with you too. She was like, who, me and Marceau? He was like, yes. And Tisha don't see it. Of course she don't. And Dr. Francis was like, the dependency is that he knows that he can drop something into this relationship and that you will do it. He don't have to take responsibility for shit because he knows you're going to be there to pick up the slack or to do anything that he wants you to do. And she was like, oh, yeah, I can see that. You know what I'm saying? Because, I've been trying to get him to change that. But, only time will tell. And Dr. Francis was like, but what will it cost you to wait on an unknown, undefined amount of time? Like, confrontation is key, and it is key to growth. And I'm like, girl, exactly, like time will tell. Like, you only get one life as far as we know, and you gonna waste it trying to see if a motherfucker gonna change his behaviors. Jesus Christ, y'all be letting these niggas take away all y'all good cute years. So Dr. Francis then invites her and some of her friends to go on a couples retreat with him and his wife. And I was like, thank God, somebody need to help these people. I fucks with Dr. Francis. He's an excellent therapist. So then we go to Martell at his mama house. I was actually happy I hadn't saw her all season. I don't understand why these people letting their mamas come on television looking like they literally just walked out of somebody's back alleyway. I don't understand that at all. Y'all just be setting y'all mamas up for failure. Do y'all not like them? What is going on? So Martell mama tells him that, she understands where her brother Sam was coming from when it came to the whole I nest thing, and how, he don't play about his mama, and, and he just wanted the recognition for his mom, and tells Martell, to talk to him and everything. And Martell explains that he was going to have a more intimate event for family and friends where he could really go into in-depth information about his grandmother. And she was like, well, have you talked to your uncle about that? And he was like, I've called him. I don't know how many times he won't answer the phone. So I learned in this conversation that Martell says that he was so distraught over his grandmother's death that he actually skipped out on NFL tryouts. And I was shocked by that. So I'm wondering, is that a thing for him? Like, maybe he felt like if that was something that he could go back and redo, he would have actually tried out. You know what I'm saying? Maybe his life could have ended up differently. I don't know. And then at the end of the episode, we see Mel and Kimmy meet up, and Kimmy tells her what happened at the incest wine tasting with Martell and his uncle. And Melody was like, oh, I bet you it was his Uncle Sam. She was like, and he's normally like very cool, calm, and collected. So Mel was like, who was the event planner? And Kimmy was like, a girl named Melanica. Mel was like, And Kimmy was like, what? She was like, well, she was supposedly had been friends with Martell for years, and she was our wedding planner, but she quit like 2 weeks before my wedding, and I didn't even get money back from some of the, vendors that I had already paid. And she said me, her, and Martell was on three-way, and she was going off on Martell, blasting him about cheating on me and trying to talk to her assistant. And she was like, I was 22 at the time, so I'm believing Martell when he's saying she's lying. She was like, of course, now 36-year-old me would obviously look at things differently. So she was like, yeah, that's what was the Gigiana on Melanica. And I was like, child, this is a mess. So apparently next week's episode is going to be the mid-season finale. So the show will be off for maybe a month or two. And then it'll be back on. I'm guessing the show won't be back on until after Bell Collective goes off. And then we'll get the fucking fight, child. We have to wait some months to get that fight. But yeah, overall tonight was a cool episode. I give tonight's episode a B-. It was cute. You could tell it was somewhat of a filler episode for me. Next week's episode on the mid-season finale, we'll see Martell and Mel come together for the first time to film again for this season. Child, I guess that's all I got to say. Let me know what y'all think about tonight's episode down below in the comment section. What y'all think about Melanica's rap sheet, child. What y'all think about Martell getting into it with his uncle. That's a mess. What y'all think about hey, trying to make Tiffany jealous. Please, 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 please support my Keisha capsule collection. Once again, you guys, we only have a few pieces left, so head over to www.prettygirlparlor.com to cop you a few summertime fabulous outfits. And also make sure you guys listen to the It Started With Wanda teaser podcast episode, which is up now. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.